Welcome back. I hope you all have had a good lunch and you are ready for more action coming in and more information coming your way. We're now going to move on to our session on optimizing wall blowing and improving heat rate. Now, combustion of coal causes buildup of soot, ash, and slag in the heat transfer surfaces, which reduces the heat transfer as well as the operating efficiency. To achieve a high operating efficiency and improving the heat transfer in boiler pressure parts, soot blowing is an important phenomenon in boiler operation. How should power plants develop a soot blowing optimization strategy to determine which portions of the boiler to clean and on what schedule? Can you predict the effectiveness of heating surfaces using thermodynamic models and artificial neural network models? Please welcome our presenters who will be speaking about optimizing wall blowing and improving heat rate. I would request all our speakers to please mute yourselves for now, and you can unmute yourself once you start your presentation. Let me introduce all our speakers for this session. We have Mr. Dinanath Kela, Manager Operations, Reliance Industries. We have Mr. Rajkumar Singhania, DGM Technical Services, Jindal Power Limited, Damnar, and we have Mr. K. Mohan Reddy, Chief Executive Officer, Neyveli Uttar Pradesh Power, who are going to be presenting in this session. A warm welcome to all of you. And Mr. Kela, I'll come to you and request you to please start with your presentation. Mr. Kela, I request you to please unmute yourself and you can start sharing your screen so that we can have a look at your presentation.
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank all the eminent speakers, chief guests, and experts from the industry. And I would also thanks to Mission Energy Foundations for bringing such sparking and brainstorming sessions about the heat rate. Yes, it is the call for the nations. And I have some tremendous work I have done in the field of the digitalization. So I want to show to the from this platform to the whole the nation, because this is the time where we are in the threat for the thermal power sector. How this threat I will explain in the detail of my presentation. But as we know that in the coming era, we have the challenge of the coal availability, we have the challenge of the optimal uh, flexible power generation and power uh, optimum power generation and its regulation mode. So how these challenges are going to be tackled, I will explain. And I have prepared from myself a small apps that will help a lot to the nation, because this is the call that the very big enterprises like NTPC, Lanco, Jindal, they have the good infrastructures, right? But right now, our total installed capacity is 375 gigawatt, in which the many and good number and good density of the medium power plants. So how they are survive in the coming decade. So I will all explains in my this presentation, and I hope this presentation will definitely useful. Because from this channel we have to share our thoughts, and I am very delighted with our respected the very seniors speakers from the previous sessions. They have beautifully explained the how the factor of the heat rate, and each and every point has very beautifully they have explained. And I would like to one thing, if any have any doubts regarding how these factors are contributing, then I will feel very pleasure to help to the whole the nation, and I will give the mathematical calculation if anybody have any doubts how these a small 1 kilocalorie of uh, amount of the heat is contributing in the change of the heat rate and the plant production, definitely it will be the pleasure for myself. So just with this little introduction, I'm going to share my screen and presentation. So I think now it is visual to all of the participants and audience. So myself, Dinanath Akela, I'm a competent person for inspection certification of boiler, Central Boiler Board, Delhi, BOE engineer, and certified energy manager. So I have done, and I'm going to show how this heat rate is important and why we are going to be calculate and what are the factors which are affecting the factors. The previous speakers have already explained the detail about that. So just I will start with a little brief about the highlights of our power sectors. So India is now the fifth rank in the whole world, the power generation. So we have reached and achieved the installed capacity is 375. Now it is 377 gigawatt. And as per the figure forecast, our electricity demand increasing by 7%, and the projected energy intensity is around about 59.79 metric of equivalent of the oil equivalent ton of oil equivalent, and it is projected by 2030. At the completion of the PAT cycle first, now it is running to the PAT cycle 456. So the result of the PAT cycle 1, we have achieved 3.06 million ton of oil equivalent saving, and which is contributing to in the GDP of 0.46 in our nation. And our per capita power generation is 0.44 ton of oil equivalent, and if it we convert into the electricity, roundabout it is coming to the 1200 kilocalorie per kilowatt hour. So this is the little bit the brief last history I have recalled, and it is very remarkable to all of us as the citizen of India, that we have peak reached the power demand of 187.3 gigawatt on the 30th January of this year, and we have also noted in the lockdown period in the last year, in the 27th March, the lowest peak demand of 115.23 gigawatt. Apart from that, we have on the 30th December 2020, the peak was recorded 182.88 gigawatt, and in the May 30 May 2019, we have recorded the peak is 182.61 gigawatt. So these all the data are indicating that we are in the path of the progress, we are in path of the more industrialization. And I have already earlier told that our total installed capacity including the RE is 377 up to date of January 2021. So I'm talking about here the biggest the threat for our power sector is the coal availability. Yes, we all know that we are getting the coal through the mines. It is good fortune for us and it is available, but it is not long lasting to the long years, as we all know, and these data are available by the Coal Preparation Society of India. So we have now the taking the and acquiring the coal mines in the Australia and some other countries. Next is about the optimal flexible mode of operation. Yes, this is the very important thread for thermal, because we all know, and in the morning sessions, very great speakers and many of the industrialists, many of the users of the thermal power plants, they have raised the question about the what extent, what level we can go and we can sustain up to the lower or part load. Yes, because why I'm going to talk about that in next 2 to 3 decades, just in 2 to 3 decades, what will be the happen? Right now, the situation for the thermal power generation is the ratio in, we can say, in the ratio of uh, 40 sorry 60/40. It means the thermal is round about 60, and renewable and all res, we can say, sector in called res, total it is 40. But in the coming eras this situation will be changed, so that time the survival for the thermal power plant, that is the very important. So that point of view, the optimal flexible mode of operation is very challenging. How part load we can sustain? It is not only to sustain at the part load, but it is also creating and affecting the many parameters, many life of the equipments, because due to frequency load fluctuations that affect on the component, or we can say in the fatigues or in the creeps also. So the life, what we are calculating, what we are getting, are much more questionable due to the optimal flexible mode of operation. But definitely the time is very near, and we are in the we can say in the step at the door. So right now we have to think about how we have to make the policy, how we have to uh, fight and survive for the optimal flexible mode of operation. Right now we have no any plan, as per my the best knowledge, we have no any right now any the plan or the government policy that how we are and which ratio we are going to be sustain and counterfeit to the optimal flexible mode of operation. Next is very important is about the old units with the high heat rate. Yes, I have just listened the respected speaker from the NTPC that they have done very good work in the turbine and the boiler area, the superheater, and they have little bit changed according to their capex and the opex fundings, and they have run with very reliable figure. Just I am recalling the numbers right. Perhaps they have told around about 37 years. Yes, it is very big number for the old power stations with the good we can say in the reliable and good condition of heat rates. So according to that, these sessions will definitely give the more input about the how we can manage our own plants with the low value of the heat rates. So as per the definition of the heat rates, as the many speakers already they have covered about that the definitions of the heat rates and how it is impacting how we are going to calculate. So I'm just give the little about the gross heat rate, the amount of the steams entering to the turbine, to the rated temperature and pressure, minus the S2 enthalpy, specific enthalpy of the that entering into the boiler feed water, by the total generation of the power. Here I have given one chart about the India energy intensity, which is forecasting about 2030, and we have these data are definitely telling about the our million metric ton of oil equivalent is forecasting in 2030 is 243, which is just lower. This is because that and that time the renewable has coming in the picture for playing a great part of the role in the power generation. So many participants have the question then how these heat rates are actually impacting and converting into the revenue and in terms of the coal saving. So for that I am make these slides, and I am taking here 2 to 3 assumptions for easy calculation and easy understands to hold the concept about the heat rate. Suppose I am here calculating the saving of heat rate by 1%, and I have taken our plants, the heat rate is 20-30 kilocalorie per kilowatt hour. So, and I am using the coal of say approx 3000 kilocalorie per kg, the GCV of the coal. And I have taken here one data for our national average load, that is 100 gigawatt hour. Because why I am shared the previous detail, because this the facts, this calculation is based on that. So I am taking here the total average national hour load is 100 gigawatt hour. So according to that, I have calculated the how much coal is required to producing the 100 gigawatt coal for 1 hour. So I have calculated, and if I am saving in just of the 1% of the heat rate on the national scales, just 1%, it is not very big deal. We can, if we have determination, if we have the infrastructure, then definitely we can save at least 1% of the heat rate. That is equivalent to 22 kilocalorie for 1 unit. Okay, so by just the saving of the 1% of the heat rate, and you can see it is converting in the terms of the coal is 733.3 ton of the coal and the costing. But here I am not going to interest about the costing. I am here more concerned about our the coal reservoir for our futures, because I am just, my age is very less as comparison to the my seniors and the experts experiences. So and and we all have to think in this perspective, that we have what we are giving to our next generations. So that's why I am just calculating the very basic this calculation, so that this will give the little bit idea about, if I am just saving of 1% in the heat rate on the national scales, then this huge amount 733 ton is coal is the very huge amount of the coal we can save. Another I have jotted with my own experiences and the data available by the National Productive Councils. I have the 10 facts and figures about the heat rates, how these facts and figures are related, and from where these facts are coming, so that we can analyze our plant in own ways, because the every plant has different designs, different heat rate values. Somewhere they are using the back pressure, somewhere they are using the regenerative cycle, somewhere they are using the reheating cycle. So according to that, we can go with their processes. So for 10% increase in the gross heat rate, it reduces 9% of the cycle efficiency. 1% if we loss, sorry, 1 degree loss in the feed water, the gross is impacting in 0.67 kilocalorie. It is increases. Similarly for the vacuum, because many of the participants, they have asked at what minimum value we have or delta T we can proceed. Definitely, if we can go up to the maximum achievable of the vacuum, we can say about the vacuum efficiency. But we know about we cannot go beyond the 760 mm of the millimeter of the water column. So according to that, I have calculated and found that 1 mm of Hg, if I have lost, then it impacting in gross heat rate is 2 kilocalorie. Similarly, for main steam temperature, if 1 degree drop, then 0.5. For makeup water, if suppose our makeup water is increased, then it is impacting in the heat rate is 6 kilocalorie. 10% increase in auxiliary power consumption, it increased the net heat rate by 1%. Similarly, 1 kg, 1 bar absolute pressure at the TG inlet, in case it is dropped, then it is increase of the heat rate by 1 kilocalorie per kilowatt hour. Similarly, if the some uh, participants had asked the question about the the choking and the ash accumulation in the boiler side, then what will be the impact? Then there is a loss of the draft, and it increase the auxiliary power consumption, and it also impact in the heat rate. 10% increase in the power plant load factor, then the efficiency change by 1.3. If we applied the VFD, variable frequency drives in BFP, now we are in higher capacity, we are using the turbo BFP, ID fan, PA fan, SA fan by the VFD, then we can save the auxiliary power consumption by 3 to 5%. So this is the little bit the detail I have jotted. Now, what are the benchmark of our nationals? What we have collected the lots of details and experiences from the NTPCs, from the Siemens, from the different users, Landcos and states owned power sector, DVC, and we have the set the benchmark that up to this capacity we have achieved and achievable the benchmark in the heat rate. So I will share this data, and this data are shared by the CII. So for 500 to 600 capacity, the net heat rate has the best in the top three has 200, sorry, 2398.53, 2398.53. In the category of 660, it means the super critical category, we can see 660 to 800, then it is coming to the best, or in the top three, 2187.04 kilocalorie per kilowatt hour. Now, the heat rate and the auxiliary power consumption, national average and the national best data I am going to show. But this is the total the data I have jotted and collected. But I think this data is little bit old. Current for 2020 or in 2019, I have trying to collect the data, but this data is round about 2000 assessment year of 2017 2018 data. But these are the we can uh, take as a reference in the category of less than 100 megawatt, in the category of 100 to 150. The factors are contributing in the heat rate, and what are the payback period for that. Suppose we are improving in the combustion controls and monitoring systems, then it has the band to improve the heat rate in the range of 0.25 to 1%, and its payback is less than 1 year. So according to that, I have collected all the possible improvement scopes and what these are contributing in the heat rate and what would be the payback periods. Because after all, if I have present any projects to our management, then definitely the question is about the project cost and the payback period. So it is important. So now I am coming to my work, what I am going, what I have done. And I will also thanks to the Mission Energy Foundation that in the last session of the thermal power plant sectors in the 30 August 2020, I have also given one presentation and one case study about how to prevent your boiler from the corona. Yes, and these all the details what I have shared are available with the MEF, and they in available on the YouTubes. So now I am here, I'm going to show the how the digitally we can monitor efficiently and track the records and improve our plant productivity and plant hit rates. So what I am going to start, I'm going to start in the phase wise. First I am going to start with the our field operator or field engineers works, because I have seen in the many plants that they are still using as a logbook, and they have what they have noticed, they just mention in the logbook, and very few times these logbooks are reviewed by the management. And sometimes I have also feel that the management have decided that we are going to, or they are going to take the shutdown of a particular unit, and that forms, I would like to request to all the uh, higher authority to please make the practices that we can review our defects and make the system so that we can efficiently track the defects easily. So for that, I have made the small apps that will help, definitely help. How it will help? Because this based on the Android apps. Now this Android apps is very popular from top to the bottom level. Executives, they all are using the Android application, Android phones. So I have used this technology to betterment of our power sectors. What the field engineers, what the field operators has, uh, they have gone through their field round. So I have make their field round more productive and more digital. If what, how many permitted he have closed, and what are the findings, they will easily locked in that system in the apps. When he will save and submit, same time his manager, production in charge, and the topmost executive will easily find that details, that he can also take the pictures and upload, take small videos and upload, so that we can track the defect from the bottom level. According to that, we all know that we have to make the plan for the inventory if it is required. If it is a bigger problem, then we have make the planning to take the we can say the some decisions with the OEM. So from this process, I think we can get the sufficient times and we can easily monitor. I'm also connecting these apps to the SAP system, so that this detail and this defect will easily sync with the SAPs, and according to that we can plan for the permits, we can plan for the uh, rectifications. So from these systems we can take the data up to 3 months. Now I have this trial I have completed, and this all I have done with the Google. So for that I have paid some prices, and according to that, what I have get the clearances from the Google that I can trial these apps, and according to that we can getting the feedback that its performance, its data security concerns, because we all know that the Google, we can say mm, the data system is more secure right now in the whole the world. So how it is works? Yes, this has very silent features, that it is the first apps in the energy conservation fields developed, and it will directly give the value of boiler efficiency by ASME PTC 4.0. Data we can log and update. We can easily review the interlocks, and if it's going beyond the some time frame, then it has capability and inbuilt system to generate the SMS for the register number. Many times what I have feel, that during the startup of the plants, or during our annual or we can say in the weekly basis, we are running for the checklist. So this thing this create a very panic to me. So that's why these things I want to eliminate from the whole the nations. No more hard copies, no more hard checklists are right now required. It will save our paper, it will save our printing cost of the logbooks, it will save our the power consumption by the Xerox machines also. It will very neat, clean, and anytime we can take the data from the previous 3 and 4 and 6 months, depend upon the server capacity. So what the operator will do? He can easily all the details we will fill required for the startup of the boiler or startup of the turbine or any equipment. Suppose we are doing the changeover. These all are inbuilt systems. We can get the data for the running equipments, which equipment is running, which equipment in the standby. So all these are assembled in these systems. We can easily monitor through the systems if any we can say deviations. Yes, we talk about the deviation of the vacuums, deviation of the, because the plant is running with not a single, it is running with the thousands of the parameters. So according to which it has the deviation, we can easily monitor, easily take out. With these systems we can easily graph reports and easy to communicate the short the values. Apart from that, we have also introduced in these systems for a operator learning and development. What are the gear areas, the SOP and SOC he will get from itself. When it is required to refresh his knowledge, he can easily go through the details and get the confidence. We can manage through the plant inventory from this also. Suppose we are consuming in the per shift the chemical oils, all this. Why I am going to tell this all about that? These all are significantly contributing in the heat rate. All are contributing. How it is looks, I have placed some screens here. This is the dashboard, boiler startups, turbine, UP system, source system, plant heat rate evaluators. So when we put the data, it will come up as the heat rate. We have talked about the checklist. So we have already mentioned here the checklist formats. It is depends upon the plant specifics. I've just prepared for the demo. It is work on the basis of the barcode. We have placed the barcodes on the equipment. When the operator will get there, scan the barcode, and these apps will fetch the data from there. This is the running equipments, understand by equipments details, how this looks. SMS alerts will come if the going to be the change in the behavior, change in the deviation of the plant's data of the running parameters. Now I'm connecting to more about the real-time data. I have also worked on the plant simulator because when the pandemic period was going on, then I have realized what we can develop the tool for our new trainee engineers, because this era is all the peoples are intact with the mobile or Android. So can I put the simulator on mobile so that he can start the systems, stop the systems if it is going beyond the policy or beyond the SOP, then the simulator itself, Android system itself, stop him and give the message that you have taken the wrong path, and it will very similar to the plant specifics, so that he can get advantage, he can get hand practice on the mobile and much more confident with the real systems. Apart from, I am going to track and connect about the boiler remaining life assessment as per IBR 1950 Regulation 391A, but it is taking the lots of details, lots of machine learnings, and all the details are required for that, but the work is going on. So if the time is permit, then I am able to display the simulator videos how, but this video is only the representative of the apps, and we have prepared for just for this video presentation for only for the 2 minutes. On a very basic level, so that every plant operator engineer can learn and do it. We will do much more details and complex based on their plant specifics. These all are based on the timer, based on all the thermodynamics and behavior of the boiler, when we have to start the coal firing, when we have to stop the coal firing, what will the impact on the drum level, impact of the drum pressures, O2. Uh, so thanks to all the participants and respected to all the speakers, very senior delegates from the different power industries. And just before the leaving from this forum, I want to quote one verse from our honorable PM: a dream of a digital India where the access of information knows no barrier. So thanks to our PM that they have very visionary vision for our nation. Thanks to all. Thanks to Mission Energy Foundations for giving me the opportunity to speak to the whole the PAN nation. Thank you, and please put your query.
Mr. Akela, thank you so much for your presentation. It was really very insightful, and congratulations for having this app, which can be go-to for many of the power companies. What we do is we take up the queries after the presentations are done. I would request you to please stay along and hear the other presenters in their presentation as well, and then we'll take up the queries. If participants who are listening in have questions about this, about the app, do type them in or raise your hands, and towards the end of the session, we will take up your questions. Now, let's welcome our next speaker, Mr. Rajkumar Singhania, DGM Technical Services.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks to for your kind words, and I would like to add 2 points here. That I'm much more thanks to Khatri sir that he have increased lots me to do the some work for our nations and do the work for our Atmanirbhar Bharat. And if any participants or any the industry representatives they want more details, it is welcome. It is because this we has made the all of us, so it is no any. they can anytime they contact to Mission Energy Foundation or write to me. We are available, and we can feel great to share and how we this will advantages and morale boosters from the field workers. So thanks for your nice words.
Thank you, Mr. Ajela. Now I will request Mr. Rajkumar Singhania to please start with his presentation. I request you, Mr. Kailash, please stay on and put yourself on mute. Over to you, Mr. Singhania, Deputy General Manager, Technical Services at Jindal Power.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Madam Anisa, and thank you for giving me opportunity for the presentation as a speaker. I'm thankful to Mission Energy Foundation, and I welcome all guests, all esteemed representatives, and so I am going to start my presentation. So. Is it visible, madam?
You please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this net hit rate is definitely a very important topic, and it is the backbone for the industry. This indicates simply the financial figure, basically, and government is much more concerned about the efficiency part of the power plant. Basically, previously there was the problem related to generation, but now we have sufficient generation capacity, and we are able to meet the generation. But now onwards, our main emphasis is on the efficiency part. So definitely this is an important topic. And now my brief layout of presentation will be, I will be talking about what is gross hit rate and net hit rate, brief introduction, and what is the financial impact of hit rate losses, what are the standard conditions which should be considered for comparing hit rates, and what are the correction factors which are involved for calculations, and various hit rate losses, how to control these losses, how the hit rate affects by the part load operation, and what is the impact of APC on net hit rate. So first of all, what is gross unit hit rate? Basically, as we all know, it is the ratio of input energy to boilers in the form of coal, heat energy, or fuel for unit power of electrical energy, which is at the generator terminals. And in the net unit hit rate is same like gross unit hit rate, except that here we consider the output in the export terminal. In this, our auxiliary power consumption is also included. If the output and input is considered for a period of an hour, then it is net unit hit rate for 1 hour. Similarly, it can be calculated over a period of a day or a week or a month or a year. This is a simple block diagram representations. Basically, there is a term also, gross turbine hit rate. If we consider turbine and generator part, then if we consider the boiler to generator, then it will be gross unit hit rate. Simple diagrammatical representation is there for net hit rate and other terms. This I want to show you because my previous colleague, Mr. Dinanath, has also shown some calculations regarding why it is very important, the study of net hit rate and its calculation, because it amounts a very huge amount of money. For an example, I have taken calculations for 1 kilocalorie of hit rate saving for a 600 megawatt unit generation. So the generation for 1 day will be equal to 14.4 million units, and so same kilocalorie will be lost if 1 kilocalorie we are losing. So if GCV is 3000 kilocalorie per kg of the coal, and coal cost we considered 2 rupees per kg, then it amounts to 9600 rupees per day. And for if we calculate on the annual basis, it will be 35.0 lakhs rupees. So for only for 1 kilocalorie, the annual loss is 35.04 kilocalorie. On simple close monitoring, we not only 1 kilocalorie, we can save a lot of kilocalorie, amounting to 25 to 30 kilocalorie per kilowatt hour. So there is one more calculation. For 25 kilocalorie, if you save, then it will amount to annual savings of 8.7 crore rupees for a 600 megawatt unit. And for the low generation efficiencies, there are few important reasons I want to mention here. Like basically, this time plant is running at part load due to various factors. Because of there is a gap of supply and demand, so it results in inefficient operation. But although we have to forcefully operate in part load operations, so we should consider where the various losses are occurring, and we should try to improve it. And for degradation of equipment, it results in the loss of capacity. For delayed overhauls, also low generation, financial constraints for inadequate maintenance, lack of awareness on efficiency related issues. These are this I want to mention few lacks in awareness, like inadequate MIS system. Sometimes plants do not have sufficient MIS data for these heat rate calculations and other factors. Inadequate monitoring systems are there in various plants. Non-availability of performance measuring instruments. Measuring instruments plays a very important role. The online instruments should be very accurate and needs regular monitoring and checking. Sometimes there is a lack of dedicated group in efficiency department or target efficiency improvement. Similarly, maintenance management and operation management systems are very important. A few losses, important losses in thermal power plants are boiler losses, turbine losses. These are these few losses, feed water system losses. As earlier, Mr. Dinanath has also told, and my other guests, speakers have clearly mentioned these things, like circulating water system losses, steam conditions, electrical auxiliary losses, steam auxiliary losses, fuel handling system, DM makeup. If we break down the boiler losses, this results in boiler efficiency. This is the cause due to high flue gas exit temperature, high excess air. Some of the causes for this lower boiler efficiencies are moisture losses, dry flue gas losses, incomplete combustion, and radiation losses are very important to be looked after, because over the period of time the insulation got damaged, and it results in the heat rate losses which are not closely monitored. And we can save a lot if we regularly check the insulations. Similarly, moisture in coal, moisture in air, these are cause of losses. Tube leaks, coal quality. This is incomplete combustion is an important factor for the low efficiency, which is due to coal quality, increases in ash content, carbon content, decreased coal mill fineness, classifier vanes not properly adjusted, mill ring roll wear, mill classifier vane wear, sometimes burner trips plugged, eroded. These are to be regularly or maintenance to be done. Burner damper settings are very important. SADC should be checked regularly, and data should be maintained. Incorrect fuel air ratio are there. We have to monitor closely the oxygen percentage. Sometimes due to various air increase also, oxygen can be increased, oxygen percentage can be increased. Some of the turbine losses are HP, IP, and LP cylinder efficiencies. Causes are due to mechanical damages like metallurgical defects, maintenance practices, due to flow-related blood deposits. Some of the causes of deteriorations are damage of blade caused by debris, damage to tip seals and interstage glands, deposition on blades. Generally, it occurs on last few IP stages and first few LP stages. The net heat rate also effects because of the generator losses, which occurs due to copper losses, iron losses, other losses. Circulating water losses are there, like the CW water for the condenser. It is due to high back pressure. This results in high back pressure, which amounts to a lot of kilocalorie loss. The causes may be sufficient number of CW pumps are not in operation, air binding of condenser tubes, excessive air in leakage, inadequate air removal capacity, fault condenser tubes, microfouling, plugged condenser tubes. These are to be regularly monitored on every plant to increase the heat rate and to save the financial impact. Other losses are insulation on duct pipe turbine, which should be regularly monitored. Sometimes there is no insulation somewhere where it is required, and due to heat radiations there is a loss. Sometimes the insulation got damaged. Poor insulation is also there. So insulation survey is very important. Steam leakage survey is also important. It results in a lot of heat rate loss. Leakage to blow down tank, leakage through vents, drains, all leakages should be attended as soon as we observe it. Generally, heat rate are monitored and tested, and efficiency tests are conducted. So there should be some standard during the efficiency test, because each time the ambient conditions may not be same. So we have to apply various correction factors. So it should be compared as per the standards. Normally ISO standard 3977 is temperature should be 15 degree, pressure 1 atm, humidity 60%. This is a simple representations of boiler various losses. Boiler efficiencies generally include calculation of sensible heat losses, which are dependent on coal consumption, excess air levels, and temperatures at boiler and air heater outlet. There is a, if we consider total heat input as 100%, so the various losses is briefly here depicted. The boiler efficiency comes out to be normally 86.5%. 6% is lost in hot flue gas, 0.75% due to excess air, and for unburnt carbon in fly ash and bottom ash, we lost around 0.4% of heat rate above boiler efficiency. Similarly, for moisture in fuel, it accounts to around 1.2%, moisture in air 0.1%. These are simple representations of various losses. There will be two methods of boiler efficiency calculations: direct method and indirect method. Direct method is definitely very easy, but it is not a real. It gives not a real picture, because there is some limitations of measurements. For boiler efficiency, if we calculate the energy input in the form of coal, so the GCV, which is measured, is not accurate actually. It depends on various factors, because we generally take out the sample on large amount of coal, and so for large variations of the coal GCV, it is not gives the real picture. Similarly, the coal consumption is also have accounts for some error. So energy input we cannot measure accurately. So the direct method efficiency calculations does not account the real picture. So there is a provision for indirect efficiency calculations, and it is based on finding out the various individual losses taking place in the boiler and then subtracting it from the sum of 100%. This method involves finding the magnitudes of all measurable losses taking place in the boiler by different instruments. This time, blowdown valve should be closed, and there is some standards which should be followed here. The various losses are depicted there. If you compare direct and indirect efficiencies, the method of finding boiler efficiency mentioned above have some advantages and some disadvantages. The greatest advantages of indirect method is that it also speaks about the sources of losses By finding out indirect efficiency, one can come to know where the losses are increased and this can be reduced. On the other hand, direct efficiency values are closer to reality as compared to indirect efficiency on account of uncovered losses. What happens that in indirect efficiency, some losses we cannot calculate. So the direct efficiency gives you the figure for the uncovered losses, such as radiation losses, on-off losses like a startup shutdown losses. But direct efficiency can only tell us the magnitude of overall loss. No information about individual losses and their magnitude is conveyed from direct efficiency calculations. There are always differences between direct and indirect efficiencies. How can we optimize the boiler efficiency? First of all, we should consider the total air supplies. Too little air will cause unburnt losses. Too much air will increase the dry flue gas loss. Carbon monoxide should be monitored closely for enabling supply of correct quantity of air for combustion. Similarly, unburnt in fly and bottom ash should be measured regularly, and the measure of effectiveness of combustion process and milling plant, proper adjustment of supply of secondary air to reduce this fly ash and bottom ash unburnt. Furnace leakages should be monitored. Third one is aerator gas outlet temperature. What is the causes of APH gas outlet temperature? This is because of ineffective APH soot blowing, holes and torn elements of the cold end, deposits on water tubes, superheater tubes, and reheater tubes. Other causes are high excess air, defective baffles in flue gas path, poor milling and poor combustion. This results in long burn off time, resulting in furnace fouling, use of high row of burners at low loads, air leakages before combustion chamber. So this I want to mention here that we do not run our plant normally at 100% capacity. So it is very important to consider what is the effect of heat rate because of various loads. So this curve depicts the effect. Here the design line is shown in green color and expected line in blue color, and the actual heat rate line is. So we should minimize the part load operation and try to run the plant in full load capacity. There are some accounted and unaccounted losses during our plant performance, and we can simply measure those things. Some of the unaccounted losses are because of deviations in critical parameters from design or expected, deterioration in equipment performance, fuel characteristics, auxiliary power consumption, operation practices. Some of the unaccounted losses are like passing of walls. Generally, walls are passing which are not considered for heat rate calculations. This should be physically monitored, and defects should be raised and timely attended. Some equipment performance should be regularly monitored. These are the source for performance loss. Radiation losses are there, which can be minimized. Although this do not come into picture during calculations, there are some instruments uncertainties also. Instruments should be calibrated timely to avoid heat rate calculations, wrong calculations. The major thrust on the way to net heat rate improvement. Basically, we should consider these three things more and more. Although all other things are all very important, but these are very important because it accounts to around 5 to 15 kilocalorie savings combustion process, the whole combustion process. So this should be very closely monitored and optimized. The condenser only accounts for around 25 to 100 kilocalories. And there is a potential in auxiliary power saving also, generally in VFP system, ESP power system. I have depicted what is the effect of only 0.1% APC saving on heat rate on financial things. If we consider our station APC as 6.94 and we improve by 0.1% only, like 6.84%, if annual generation is 21,024 million units, and that 0.1% APC saving accounts to 21 million units of extra export. So annual savings in lakhs rupees, considering 3 rupees per kilowatt hour, will be 631 lakhs rupees. That is 6.31 crore rupees. And the last, just for conclusion, here there is the improvement in the station heat rate, specific fuel oil consumption and auxiliary consumption can make generating units competitive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singhania, for this presentation that you've given us. And if any of the participants have questions. So at this point in time, we are not looking at any questions so far, but I'm sure the participants want to hear all the speakers. So I would request you to be a little patient. Let Mr. Mohan Reddy complete, and I'm sure we'll have a few questions coming in. So thank you so much for your presentation. Please stay with us, Mr. Singhania. I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. K. Mohan Reddy, Chief Executive Officer, Naval Uttar Pradesh Power Limited, to please give his presentation. Mr. Reddy, I request you to please turn on your camera and unmute yourself, and then you can start speaking and start presenting.
Good afternoon to all of you. I would like to introduce myself. I am Mohan Reddy. Thank you, ma'am. You have introduced me, and working as CEO of NEPPL. Yeah, basically, I have got experience in the coal industry, Coal India Limited, Singareni Coal Company Limited, now Power Sector, Energy India Limited. Now I will start my presentation. It is not going. Share audio. Ma'am, I have to click share audio.
So you have to click on the screen button, which is right next to the microphone button. Just press share screen.
Okay, now I'm starting with the clicking share screen. Okay. After that.
So you'll have to select the presentation that you are wanting to share.
Shall I assume my presentation is appearing?
Yes, sir. We can see your presentation. You can make it full screen and then start.
Yes, having experience in the coal industry, basically, then coming to the thermal power plants, I thought that I wanted to combine coal mining as well as thermal power plant.
Right. So would request you to please make your presentation full screen.
Yeah, okay. Now it is okay, ma'am?
Yes, sir. You're ready to go.
So I would like to introduce about our project. It is a JV company of Energy India Limited and Uttar Pradesh Rajya Vidyut Utpadan Nigam Limited. NLC being a highest shareholder with 51%, the project is being managed by the NLC India Limited. We are constructing 3 into 660 megawatt supercritical coal-based power plant at Ghatampur Tehsil of Uttar Pradesh district, Uttar Pradesh state. The sanctioned capital cost is 17,237 crores. Overall progress is 10,909 crores, coming around 62%. And as you know, the core plant activity or core plant progress, BTG and BOP progress is around 75%. To say what are the progress is water system from the supply source to the DM plant is completed. Startup power. So this project is way forwarding to commission the units one by one. If we speak about the unit one, boiler hydro test is completed. Boiler light up is scheduled in May 21 and all preparatory works are going on. And COD is rescheduled in November 21 because, as you know, it may be recent impact of the COVID-19 or some other farmers' agitation. When we are acquiring so much of land, some time is lost due to that issues. So coming to the today's topic, I would like to present like this: from grid to the mine I would like to go, because I came from mine to the grid. Now in reverse way I will go. As we know, 1 unit power in the grid is equivalent to the 861 kilocalories of heat. NEPPL generator and turbine efficiency are around 98% and 48% respectively. As such, the input heat required for the steam turbine is, with some efficiency calculation, is 1828 kilocalories per unit of power generation. The steam generator efficiency being 88.2% takes 2123 kilocalories required as station heat rate. I thought how to minimize the, what are the controlling mechanism to minimize the heat loss in the power plant. One is naturally heat has to be conserved through the best insulation, and another one is you better know soot blowing is a regular mechanism. Otherwise, your conduction, convection, all those things get affected. Apart from physical damage of the and air fuel ratio to must be optimum to avoid the unburnt carbon, which will carry out a lot of heat, and accountability of steam, water, and air leakage to atmosphere, efforts, and okay, maintenance of the equipment is very much important. And using the designed coal for running the power plant is important. We might have designed for the G9 or G10 because of scarcity. We may be using the G12 or G14. That makes a lot of problem. When ash content is more, the heat loss carried away by the fly ash as bottom ash will be more, and unburnt carbon content will also be more. And condenser vacuum as per the designed parameters has to be maintained. And maintaining the critical parameters in MS, CRH, HRH temperature to increase the effective work output of turbine is very important. Heat exchanger, regenerative feed heating system, and heat extractor wrap designed parameter efficiency to be maintained. There is a direct relationship between the efficiency or heat rate of a coal-fired generating unit and the cost of carbon capture. Most efficient units burn less fuel and generate less CO2 per net megawatt hour of output power. Okay, when I spoken to the as regards to the minimization of heat losses power plant, similarly, I would like to present a controlling mechanism to minimize the heat loss at mines. So basic equation for the useful heat value is equal to 8900 into 138 into ash plus moisture. It is understood very clearly from that heat loss is influenced by the ash content as well as moisture content. If a boiler is fed with a coal containing ash content, high ash content than the designed, the heat loss will increase. To contain such increase, it is necessary to select the optimum quality of coal having nearest designed ash content. Now, with the advent of new technologies, coal is being excavated with concept of selective mining with surface miners to avoid unwanted incombustible material in the coal. Also, coal washeries are contributing for this type of task also. Further, nowadays mines are adopting blast-free technologies for excavation of the overburden. Thereby, contamination is greatly reduced at the mine itself. Earlier, the social issues due to the vibrations and sound. So this is basic things, as you know. Potential for heat minimization is combustion should be very optimum. That can be achieved with optimized or designed fuel air ratio, and soot blowing mechanism should be optimized. Otherwise, naturally conduction convection will not take place. So I would like to conclude like this. The heat rate is a subject matter of not only power plant, it is also matter and concern at coal mine. When selective mining is adopted, the fuel required for 1 ton of coal transportation can be significantly reduced. For example, as connected to the NEPPL, we wanted to take a coal from Orissa, Talabira mine or Mahanadi coal fields, where ash content can be expected around 40 to 45%. Now we made a tie-up with the Northern Coalfields Limited. The ash content is hardly 30-31%, and thereby the quantum of coal transportation is reduced to the greater extent. If you see in that account, the energy charges are, if you transport from the MCL, it is around 2 rupees 52 paisa. In all probability, we have to reduce the all logistics cost. We have to reduce the heat to make it a competitive energy charges in the market. Otherwise, as we all know, market is governing the PLF of the power plant. The heat extract system is effectively maintained. The quantum of coal requirement will reduce greatly. So the combustion of coal generation point and power generation point is collectively reduce the emission of the greenhouse gases, which is the demand of the global population today in view of the climate change. So as regards to the Ghautampur, in this respect of the climate issues are to reduce the emission of the gases. I can say that this is one of the power plants adopting selective catalytic reduction of the NOx control besides adoption of the FGD. Of course, FGD, the buzzword are going on. We are going to implement it in many of the power plants, but very few plants are adopting this SCR technologies. It is one of the such power plant. It is happy to convey to the August gathering that this plant going to get coal of G9 to G10 grade coal from the NCL as bridge linkage during the initial period of 3 to 4 years, then followed by its own linked mine. This power plant also got a linkage mine at Jharkhand, whose overall grade as per the exploration is coming around G10. This power plant is also doing a heavy plantation to neutralize the emissions is a bigger word, okay, to certain extent to minimize to offset the emissions. We are also in the process of establishing the solar plants, and this power plant will emerge as a clean power generating plant with carbon neutralization, hoping it contributing to the nation's commitment in Paris COP 21. Thank you. This all I would like to say regarding this, how the heat is more concerned at coal mine as well as thermal power plant. Finally, how it is going to reduce the emissions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Reddy, for your presentation. The floor is open for questions. And we have one question from Mr. Ashish Manda. Mr. Reddy, I request you to please mute yourself. Yes, Mr. Dab, you can go ahead and ask your question. So I have taken Mr. Dab on the stage, but I don't see him here.
I really welcome some questions for the coal mining as well as power plants. Coal mining will be more better, or of course, power plant being under construction, that is also fine. I'm seeing in the chart box, coal quality, as you rightly said, is a big issue for all power generators. Please give some clue what as generators can do. Actually, power plants basically have to be established, particularly in India, near to the coal mines, because most of the deposits are having the 40 to 45% with ash. Lot of energy, if diesel or anything is being consumed in transportation to the various parts of the country. So we can very well localize the air pollution or some other emissions. That okay, country has taken a decision. The olden days that is going on. Now at least now countries uh, encouraging to install the pitted power plants so that power can be transmitted through the grid. And morning, one minute, madam. Somebody was telling yes, quality apart from the inbuilt quality issues, and a power plant getting coal from different places is a great Herculean task to the power generators. Country as a whole should give a dedicated minds so that people will be habituated to use it. Finally, a power plant can work with habits. It is not that day to day the execution authorities or operating people will go on changing their way of dealing. So I recommend that government of India should take a decision that a single plant source of the mine should give a coal to the one power plant.
Right. We have received a question from Mr. Vikas Tiwari, Assistant Engineer, CFPGCL. His question is to Mr. Dinanath Kedar. He wants to know, is wall flooring necessary with good quality and near rated spray? Mr. Reddy, I request you to please mute yourself, and I request Mr. Kela to please answer this question. Mr. Kela, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? And request to participants, please raise your hands and ask your questions. Mr. Kela, have you got the question? The question is wall blowing necessary with good quality coal and near rated spray?
Please repeat, ma'am, just once. I'm not getting the questions.
The question is wall blowing necessary with good quality coal and near rated spray?
Yes. So just I want to add 2 points here about as the same questions and same content our previous speakers already mentioned about that it depend upon the two things, how much we are effective heat transfers are going on, and the second is about the ash accumulations in the boiler path, and it will adverse effect in the dry flue gases losses, because if the path is blocks and due to not transferring the reliable or required amount of the heat transfers, so what will be the happen, our backend temperature will increase, that will create the losses. So according to that we have to keep in the mind, and according to that we have to proceed and find the optimal way to proceed it.
All right, let's take up a question. Mr. Ashish Kumar Dev has raised his hand. And Mr. Dev, I request you to please unmute yourself, turn on your camera and ask your question.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Please ask the question.
Yes, I have two questions for Dinanath, sir. One question, sir. What is the soot blowing frequency you have adopted in your plant? Optimal way.
Sir, my plants, as per concern of my plant, It is based on the CABC technology, IRCBC. So here I have no need of the, because we all know about that. It depends upon the quality of coal what we are getting and the percentage of the ash contents. Okay, so I'm clearly here give the detail about that. We are importing using the coal of the importing from the Australia and Indonesia, and you all know about that. Here the ash content is very low. So then the design, there is no any soot blowing, sir.
But for other power station, what is your recommendation?
Depend, sir. It is depend upon the generally it is not like that. The one specific thumb rule. If you have need, then according to that, I will give the calculation. Depend upon the plant capacity. Suppose we are talking about the 200.
No. Is there any guiding parameter based on which you can say what will be the recommendation?
Yes,
Any
yes. That's why I'm telling you, sir. It depends upon the coal quality, the percentage of ash. Okay, according to that, how much the design for the boiler. According to that, we can tell that okay, for this as the thumb rule, this can be the better way for the optimum for the soot blowing.
But sir, is era coal quality is varying day by day. Coal quality is not constant for any power plant. Every day you are getting different GCB, different moisture, different ash. So in this condition, what will be the recommendation?
Yes, sir. Yes, Ashish, sir. You are very pertinent in your questions. I would like to tell one thing here that the design of the boiler, because I am a competent person and I am visited to lots of the plants for the audit purposes as per the central boiler boards. So I have feel that the main concern for here and the coming the generations that much more dependent upon the design of the boiler is depend upon the cool quality what I am going to feed to the boiler, that the behavior of the boiler will depend upon the what we are going to feed. Suppose I tell you, sir, I have the experience of Indonesian coals, Australia, South Africa, Indian coals, and Russian coals. But I will tell you the behavior as contains moistures, total moistures, and the fixed carbons, all are the difference. So how we can set a rule that this will be the only the pertinent? It is based on our operational practices, operational experiences, that according to that, suppose right now, sir, I will take the one example of the Indonesian coals. Right, Indonesian coal has the as content is we all know and whole world know that the is as is less than 10%. Okay, but if we take the case of the Indian coal, because the coal is changed. So Indian coal has we all know about more than 30% or across 35%. Okay, so the pattern for the soot blowing will be much different. So we have to do as on our operational, based on our operational experiences, we can set the practice for that. That is called the SOPs. Okay, sir. So I think I am much more clear about that.
Right. Thank you
Okay.
so much for
And
answering
the
that question.
Yes, sir. Please, more question, please.
Okay.
We'll
Another
take more
question, as you have BOE,
Yeah.
so it may be related to BOE.
Yes, sir. Please.
Suppose today availability is a very important factor.
Yeah.
So for boiler tube leakage, if unit has to be shut down,
Yeah.
and if boiler maintenance requests to drain the boiler
Yeah.
in full, then at what metal temperature boiler should be drained full? At what boiler drum metal temperature?
Yeah. Very good.
For immediate attending the maintenance work.
Sir, yes. Because I visited to the same conditions in the many places. The first is that there is two things. First is about what is our internal policies. Are we are going to discuss that this failure is happened to the local boiler authority? First these things, because I am a competent person from Central Boiler Board, so I know the regulation that there is a provision has been mentioned in IBR 1950 that you have to report to the IBR within the 24 hours, right? But this policy and this practice are we are not following, we are not practicing in our nation. Okay, so what we will do, we will just set the local practice. But it is a local practice is not a useful way that we will do the drum to the 50% or like that, because we all know we have the experience of this thermal power industry from last 40 to 60 4 to 6 decades, and we all know that if we going to the welding processes in the field with the water, then what will be the impact of the welding processes. So I think if I will be there, and I will not permit to do like that, because if you have filled the boiler with the 50% water and then you will start the job, I think it is not the good advice as in front of the whole nation. It is not a good practice, sir. So please pardon me, it is
All right. So we have Mr. Abhinav Trivedi, who is Head Operations DB Power Raigad, who is now joining. Mr. Trivedi, please unmute yourself and turn on your camera and go ahead and ask your question. Do mention the speaker to whom you are asking the
नहीं है कि सर मेरे को इधर ही नहीं देखना है.
I think there are some bandwidth issues.
So please request him to send his question in the chat box.
So I'll take up a question from the chat box which has come in. Okay, so I think that question is not visible. Let me see. Yes, the questions have been taken. Yes, Mr. Trivedi, please unmute yourself and go ahead and ask the question.
Sir, I have a question for this is the actually there is a difference between coal quality and quantity from mines to plant area. What is the major results and how to optimize this?
Mr. Reddy, if you heard the question, would request you to please answer this question. Mr. Reddy, can you hear us? I think Mr. Reddy is not at his seat. Mr. Trivedi, do you want to ask a question to any of our other speakers?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, let's see if we have more questions coming in. We have a question which has come in from Mr. Mohan MN. He's asking Mr. Dinanath, how can we reduce GCV loss in storage coal? Is there any additive that will overcome?
Yes.
Mr. Dinanath, would you like to take this question?
Yes. Thanks, Mohan sir, because you have raised a very right questions, because this is our also a part of the national issues, because many times I have visited to the coal yards and I have seen that now the practice is that we are going the coal procurement through the e-auctions coal. So we are in the fashion to take the coals from the Indonesia and South Africa like that. And what I have feel that in these coals the VM percentage is very high. So what will be consequences that spontaneous combustion is started. So that creates the loss of we can say the GCV or loss of the coal in the coal yard or in the storage of the coal. So what we have done in the best practices that we have to segregate the lots, and we have to make the storage in such a way we can say the examples of in the foreign, they have stocked the coals in the coal piles, but in India I have seen that we have only simply do the how we can the cut the cold storage portions from the oxygen. So for that we will put the payloaders so that we press the coals in such that no ingress of oxygens are intact with the coal. If we have the issue with our high VM in the coal, so from that. And the second part you have asked is about and one thing I would like to tell from this platform, that in many places what I have seen, that if the coal smoldering started, then people on the plant person are putting the fire water and the water to quench, but it is not as advisable, because this is the bad practice, and from this habit we are again putting the oxygens, and it creates the lots of fire and lots of coal losses. So if we are doing the such practice in across the nation, please stop, please stop. It is not advisable, it is not advisable at all. Okay, second thing is any additive will come over. Right now, sir, I have the details of the few additives, but it is not approved by the OEM. So right now, I will not tell and recommend it from these platforms. But the first part of your questions is very, you can say, much more familiar with the cold storage. And if we have issue, if we have facing such problems, so then we can tackle from this way. Yes, sir.
Right. We have a question from Mr. Abhinav Trivedi. Mr. Trivedi, go ahead, ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. My question is to Dinanath ji. What is your experience in moisture loss between the received coal and the fire coal?
So right now I have much more detail about that, but I get back to you, sir, because right now I have not much details in regarding. So for that points, I will not tell much details, sir. Please.
Right. Perhaps you can get in touch with Mr. Dinanath on email,
Yes,
and then to
yes, I have
forward.
shared my email
We
ID.
have Mr. Yes, we have Mr. Manohar Lal Jaiswal also with us. Mr. Jaiswal, please turn on your camera and video and go ahead and ask a question.
Sir, my question is, what is the GCV deterioration limit between mines to CHP?
Mr. Jaiswal, who is this question for?
Mr. Reddy, sir.
Okay, I think Mr. Reddy. Mr. Reddy, can you hear the question? Would you like to respond to this? I think Mr. Reddy is not here. So, Mr. Jaiswal, we request you to please mute yourself and just wait till for Mr. Reddy to revert.
Please, Mr. Akela, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. Please repeat, Manoharji.
What is the GCV deterioration between mines to CHP?
Boss,
and CHP to mill or boiler?
Boss, first I would like to add one thing. Why we are calculating or doing in this practice, because our job is main that I have to need what is the design code required for our boiler. So we have to do our practice in such a way that suppose our boiler is designed for suppose 3200 kilocalorie as a received basis, so I need for that. Why we are worried about the losses? Because these are the depend by the third parties. They have the charges for the same. They have authority. They have job role to provide that specific code. Because now I have remember from last 2 to 3 decade, the coal pricing initially it was depend upon the kg or per ton, but after that it has shifted to on the basis of the GCV. Okay, so we have, don't worry about the losses. So we have only what I have received now. The billing should be like that. I think this is the practices is going on the NTPC and the whole the nations.
Is there a limit, sir, deterioration?
Right now, I have. Why we talk about the deteriorations? Because it is ultimate our loss. Because suppose our management is giving me to run the plant for 3,200 kilocalorie for the coal, and I am getting here suppose 3,000 only. So 2,000 is ultimate is my loss. Who will be accountable for that? Definitely supplier, because my company, my organization is paying on the basis of 3,200. So why I am as operation engineer, why I am worried for that? I am demanding that I need, because my company is paying on the basis of that 3,200 kilocalorie. So I need for that coal. I will not compromise on basis of that. So you have any
One more question, sir.
just Manohar, if you have
Yes.
other orientation of the issues, then you can directly contact to me, because as per your question, I am getting this point of the observation. But if you have any local or any other influences or other factor, according to that you are observing this phenomena in your plant, then we can talk in the later so that we can resolve it. Many times what will happen in the transportations, the quantity of the coal or mixing of the bad coals, they do okay. Good coal they have removed from the, we can say, from the transportation sections, and bad coal they shifted. So it may be the reason. Okay, so for that,
Right. We have Mr. Dinanath, we have another question, and
Ma'am, one question is more.
okay, do wrap up your question. The last one, please.
yes,
Akela sir, there is two boilers same specification.
yeah,
We are feeding same GCV
yeah,
in both unit,
yeah,
but there is a difference in specific coal consumption.
okay, definitely.
What are the reasons, sir?
Yes, we can monitor. We can definitely. I will help you. Just I will contact you and get the details, because just in the single words there is no any thumb rule to give the correct answer. Okay, if you have, and many places in the same, I have visited in many places that the similar of the 2 into 60 megawatt unit, the same boiler, same OEM, same coal, we are feeding in the both the units, but we are getting the different specific steam consumption, different heat rates. So I will help you to get how we can calculation we can done, and what are the difference in both the units. That's why this situation and this observation has arisen. Okay, basis of that, because it's, you all know about that in the operation, it depends upon the lots of the factors. Okay, so I have to analyze all the factors, airs, cool's quality, temperatures, what temperature we are. Sometimes what will happen, the temperatures I have seen in my shown in my presentation also, by the minute change in the 1 degree. Okay, many times what we are feel that okay चलता है 1 degree तो ठीक है, टेम्परेचर में कोई रहने से कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Many times I have feel this type of feedbacks from different installations, but this 1% or 1 degree of input of the temperature of 1 kg or 1 bar of pressure at the TC inlet has impact on that. So according to that, I will definitely I will help you. You will please note my mail ID, akelaboiler@gmail.com. I will definitely help you. Okay.
Right. We have a question for Mr. Singhania. Mr. Ashish Kumar Dav is asking you, Mr. Singhania, what are the operation practices that you have adopted to reduce APC in ESP operations? Mr. Singhania, did you get that question? Mr. Singhania, can you hear? So I believe Mr. Singhania is not able to hear the question. Let me check for some other questions if they are there. So I think all the questions have been answered by our guest. There was just one question that was there on the chat. I would request everybody to put their questions in actually the question and answer box and not the chat box, because then once the questions are answered, then we can move on to the next one. So, Mr. Singhania, could you hear, sir? Are you able to hear the question? Yeah, I'm afraid Mr. Singhania is not responding, and Mr. Reddy is also perhaps offline and not able to hear us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up this session. Do reach out to our speakers on a one-on-one basis if you feel you have a question which is urgent and you would want that to be answered. Mr. Dinanath, there is one question which is coming for you, and this is from DGM at Data Power and Infrastructure. I don't know if it's a question, but he's saying, first and foremost, we need to ensure that correct coal sampling methods are deployed. Methodology of sampling will have a large impact on GCV determination, and most times the values will be within the reproducibility limits. Any comments that you'd like to make?
Yes, because all the things are, we can say, in the circle of the coal. Okay, so definitely, sir, I agree with your words that first and foremost we have to how the correct method are required. So what we will do, and we practice that, we will take the samples of the coal to 3 to 4 places after in the different locations. Suppose we have stacked the coal of in the area of, we can say, 4 meter square or 10 meter square area. Okay, so we will take the sample of 5 collection of the 5 samples from the different part of that storage. Okay, after that we will crush, and again we will mix all together samples, and we will separate, make the sample of we can say 4 or 5 samples, and we will precisely check in the lab. If we are doing this practice in the first time, then I will recommend you that we have also go with the third party, so that we will know about what the correct GCV is coming out, because all the calculations are based on what we have received the GCV of the coal for the boiler. Okay, some places this is based on the we can say for the stack where we have the stores, and in some places just we will take the sample from the bunker also. So we have to take the samples. Suppose there is 4 or 5 bunkers, so we will take the samples of the different locations, and according to that we will take the again prepare the samples and check the GCV through our labs. Okay, so and cross check what are the findings, what are the observations are coming in the both practices. So according to that we will clearly evaluate what is the average or what is the correct the GCV of what we have received the coal. So apart from that, if you have any specific issues, then you can contact to me. There is no any problem. So that I will help to in the better way.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kela, for coming here and taking up all these questions and a lovely presentation. I would like to thank all our speakers, Mr. K. Mohan Reddy, Mr. Rajkumar Singhania, and the participants for the questions. So thank you so much, Mr. Kela. We're going to take a short break, just 15-minute break, but we're going to come back with a very important session. We will learn about new technology advancements and opportunities for reducing heat rate and improving efficiency. And we will have esteemed speaker, Mr. Hans Conrads, the owner and CEO of Promicon, who will be giving us a presentation. So make sure you come back in another 10 minutes, grab your coffee, but do come back. We'll restart at 4:30. Thank you all.
Thank you.